Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may happen to be. You have now arrived on the stream for Talk About Your Community, a podcast about community building, both online, offline, and the hybrid of both. I am Todd Nilson, your host, and I am super happy that you're able to join me for this very special streaming event. Normally, if you tune in on any of the Talk About Your Community streams, it's on a Friday mornings, my time, and we usually try to do them every 2 weeks with the very capable help of my super excellent engineer, Kalisa Mikkel. And however, we're doing this special one because last week was a big thing in the community professional world. The CMX Summit event was happening, and we had kind of a pre-event with my friends and colleagues, Jenny Weigle and Ilker Akansel. And we said, well, why don't we do like an after event, like a recap of what happened at that? So I invited them back, and we're going to do this special show today to kind of talk through all that. I hope if you've attended the summit that you take the opportunity to jump into the comments, talk about what your experience has been, what stood out for you, what you thought was the best session, anything that you particularly liked. And please share. This is a live interactive session. If you happen to catch this in the replay, I also invite you to jump in and offer commentary and ideas. We try to respond to each and every comment that's come out. Just before I bring Jenny and Ilker into the conversation here, I did just want to do a quick plug for the Friday stream. Yes, you get 2 of these streams in 1 week, which is going to be super exciting. I'm going to be having as my guest on Friday Tanya Lob. And Tanya she's based in Germany. She is an amazing community strategist and consultant. And she and I are going to be talking about International Community Day, which is coming up on October 8th, a celebration of community and community builders everywhere across the world, and the importance of building community globally because of all the things that are going wrong in the world today. I don't know if you've kind of watched any of the recent statements from the UN about climate, certainly all of the war and the difficulties in Ukraine, social unrest, divisions, political divisions. Not to say that community can solve all of it, but I'm going to say community can certainly do good in that process. So please be sure to come by at 10 a.m. Central Time in the U.S. And I hope that you'll be able to join us for a really great conversation about International Community Day. That being said, I want to welcome Ilker and Jenny to the channel here. Yay, guys, you're back. It's so great to see you both. How are you both doing in the aftermath of the event?
Oh, the needed recovery time was it was real.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, just some recovery time. Even though I'm based, halfway around the world, I was, working at the virtual stage. So that was also a tiring experience, but a wonderful experience for me.
I had been to a Disney conference prior to CMX, and then straight to CMX. Hence my Disneyland background. But
Yeah.
being at CMX was like being at the Disneyland of community conferences. So that was great.
I see what you did there. That's amazing. Yeah, I can see you sort of still have the Disney state of mind, which is so cool.
Always, Todd. Always.
I love it. Now, in going from the Disney conference to the CMX conference, was there like a cultural mental shift for you to kind of make the leap? What was different about that?
Absolutely. So the Disney conference I went to partly as a fan and partly for some work reasons. And going into CMX, my big goals for attending CMX this year were connection and education. And so, I did have to change my mindset a little bit. And I also just wanted to make sure I met as many people as possible. I was coming into what I knew was going to be an extremely busy week, but I was anticipating that. I was looking forward to that. And so really before going into both conferences, I did a lot to center myself, ground myself, get my workouts in and prepare.
Awesome. I am curious. So neither Ilker nor myself were there live at the event. Would love to get your perspective on, you had boots on the ground there, about how many people showed up. What was the venue like? What was it like in the neighborhood? Like,
oh my gosh.
we want to know all the things.
Okay, so I'm terrible at estimating crowds. Maybe 500. I heard there were more. So yeah, I'm terrible at that. I did attend workshop day. That was a great start because that was a smaller group, maybe 50, 60 people in that room, hearing from Tiffany Oda, hearing from the team that runs Facebook's Certified Community Manager program. So really nice intro into CMX to start with a smaller group like that. And then, oh, hi, Tiffany, and hi, Deb, and hi, Jeffrey, and everyone joining us. Thank you for making some time this morning. Yeah, all right, workshop day. I highly recommend it if they're going to set it up like that in the future. Again, that's like I said, it's a great way to get into the vibe and ease yourself into the week for CMX. Then on Wednesday, so Wednesday morning was emotional for me. Went to this great breakfast with a lot of us who were kind of staying near each other, and as we're walking up to the Fox Theater, I kind of like stepped back from our group a little bit because I was having to hold back tears because I was like, yo, we can gather again. And this was the first time that CMX was able to have this safely in 3 years. And also my first time attending in person. And I'm seeing people I've been wanting to meet for years. I'm meeting clients I've never met in person. I'm just seeing all these familiar faces. And it was such a beautiful thing that I was getting emotional. And I was like, don't mess up your makeup, Jenny. Don't mess up your makeup as we're walking into the Fox Theater. Yeah, so what a beautiful moment. And for us to come together for the start. The Fox Theater is an amazing venue to have this at. And right next door was the club stage, where the second stage, where I guess it's a little, maybe jazz club vibe right next to it or so. So between the theater stage and the club stage, and them being right next to each other, the sponsor tent was directly across the street. And thank you, Redwood City. They blocked off that whole street, so we could go back and forth. There were some picnic tables set up in the middle. I mean, wow. The space was just divine. It was it created a wonderful atmosphere for people to be in and out of the sponsor tent, the theaters, the stage, and conversing and running into people. There was nowhere you could go without running into someone or someone you wanted to see or meet or hadn't seen in years. That's the kind of energy that was happening there. And I also want to say that since it had been 3 years since CMX happened, it was an energy that I don't even know will ever be recreated, because I hope that there's never another 3-year gap of an in-person event like this. And so that was something also truly special. And shout out to everyone who I saw last week. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Hey guys. So great to see people joining in on the chat here, and shout out to as you said, to Deb, to Jeffrey, to Tiffany, to Danny, and my friend Amadou and Matas. You guys are great. For those of you who've tuned in before, Amadou was my last guest, and we did a session on storytelling for community building. Amazing popularity of that video. Like, I think we're like up over 6,000 views on that. So I'm super stoked. Amadou's such a great guy, and another collaborator on the International Community Day event. So just giving him a quick shout out. And Matthias, so good to see you as well, my friend. And Danny, we got to get you on an upcoming show. I think we've got you scheduled for sometime in October or early November. So we'll bring the wagons back around in a circle and meet up then. So that's amazing insight, Jenny. Really appreciate that. Ilker, on the virtual side of the event, you were like the MC extraordinaire, like the gracious host, introducing so many speakers during the 2 days. Could you talk a little bit about your overview of the experience and sort of like what you saw, or anything that stood out for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Of course, it's the first hybrid event, so I share Jenny's energy. I wish, we all wish. Thought that you and I probably we wish we would have been there, just to also see people in 3D, as Danny was actually saying. So, but of course, this being a hybrid event, had to have a robust, big virtual element to it. So basically, it's not the first time that's been done. Of course, after Bevy acquiring CMX in 2019. It was only, straightforward in 2020 when COVID hit that the conference was going to be done on Bevy platform. So that was the very first one, and I do remember the first minutes and the first the first hours. Whether the platform is going to hold up. I mean, it did hold up well, and certainly No, it was the first time there. They had something like 5,000 people completely, just waiting in those, uncertain times as to what was going to happen with the conference. And it's a brilliant platform to that regard, because of course it was repeated in 2021. It had a tiny hybrid element to it. I think there was one chapter or one location where they had an in-person gathering, which was organized as safely as possible at the time in 2021. So I was able to work as a volunteer in 2020, worked as an MC on the 2021 one. And of course, I was called back this time around. Thankfully, they asked me to come back again and join and lead the virtual side of things as an MC. So, lots of great speakers. Of course, Jenny managed to see the in-person ones, but there was a virtual one just going on for the 2 days. With time difference, I wasn't able to greet all of them. The later ones were kindly organized by some of my colleagues who took over, because that was already getting at 2 a.m. by the time of your early afternoons. So it was a brilliant experience. I love being an MC. The responsibility is big, of course. You try to you try to be as professional as possible, but it's very exciting because you get to meet some wonderful community builders from around the world, and it's great to be recognized in that way. Extraordinary, as you said, I don't know, it's up to other people to decide and tell me about that, but certainly being an MC was just great. It was the very first hybrid event, so there were something like, at one point, I think there were over 2,000 people in the virtual settings. So it was a great experience, and I'd love to tell more details as the conversation flows through more.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and don't sell yourself short, my friend. Being the introducer or the welcomer for guests at an event like that, especially over a period of hours. Keeping your energy level up like that. Like I can think of very few people who have the skills and the inner resources to be able to manage that well. So congratulations to you for that. And for that matter, congratulations to all the CMX staff that really worked so hard to put the event together. I think they kept everything running on time. There were a lot of wheels in motion. Jenny, you mentioned how great the venue was. I certainly would not ever diminish, the really cool things that they did to bring everybody together in person, and how powerful that was. Cool. So Jenny, turning back to you, what were some of the standout moments of the event for you? Like what did you love? And we'll start there. That's a good spot.
Okay, like I already mentioned how much I loved workshop day, so that was just such a incredible day. Of course I loved so many presentations. I tried to sit in on as many as I could. Priya Parker, hello, she's amazing. I wanted more time with her, if anything. Wanted to just hear some more things, but thank you to Jess Hobbs for including one of the questions I suggested in the CMX Slack on that. So she did a great job leading that discussion with Priya Parker. Really, really fascinating to see her in person and hear what she had to say. And I loved how she was calling out to the virtual attendees. And she really was trying to bring that, feeling of all of us together, even though we all couldn't be together. So I love that she was giving shout outs. She was encouraging the virtual attendees to put things in the chat. And it created this sense of camaraderie and reminded us, oh yeah, there's thousands of other people also tuning in for this event. In a perfect world, we would all be together. What else did I love?
Well,
of course, my friend.
Before you go on with that, just a quick interjection with that. If you guys haven't caught it before, Carolyn Zick, who works with Communify, she did a nice CMX community hot takes review of the event. It just got posted up this morning. Get a chance to go out and take a look at it. I love what she said. Like, she really liked Priya's insights about gathering post-pandemic, and sort of like some of the great ideas around that. Really terrific insights for that. Sorry, please continue.
Oh, gosh, I mean,
didn't
I was
notice that.
trying to take as many pictures and things and post them on my Twitter as if you want to go back and look at what I've got there, because the panels were amazing. If anything, again, maybe in some regards too short. Like I found myself wanting more. After that first official night of Summit, one of my favorite moments was obviously karaoke because Pablo and I set it up, and the karaoke spot was about a 10-minute drive from the venue. So we appreciate all those people who made it out. There were about 50 people who showed up, and we took over this live piano karaoke bar, and that was just awesome.
So
And
cool.
also favorite moments, just running into people in between sessions that I've been wanting to see for a long time, and getting to see a preview of Adrian Spire's book. That was a highlight as well. So it was heartwarming. It was exhilarating. It was all the things. And I'm trying to I think back on some of the panels that are coming to mind. Tirza Austin led one on mentorship, and Nashana James was on there. And the conversation there was amazing. Etienne Nichols led one about engagement strategy that was super informative. Thank goodness we're getting all these as recordings. And I don't know when CMX plans on posting those, but what a perk that we get all of these, because then I can also go see the virtual presentations I wasn't able to see.
Yeah, like my friend Ilker, who did a great presentation on being a community consultant.
Well, both of you,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, no, it was great. I was certainly honored to be invited to speak for it as well. So really terrific. Nice shout out to Adrian, who, by the way, if you guys don't know and haven't heard about it, is his new book, The Accidental Community Manager, is out, and he's here in the live stream today. So hey Adrian, gonna have to have you come on and talk about the book at some point too. We should get you booked in. Sorry, to talk about that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Deb Shell, who also has a book project that she's working on. Maybe she can post up the link. She's doing a crowdsource for that, so that she can kind of fund that work. And she's got amazing and wonderful insights for community builders as well. And I would be really remiss also if I didn't mention that she put together notes from the virtual sessions. And those are up as a Google Doc. She's posted them up in the stream. If you haven't spotted them yet, go ahead and grab those and save a copy for yourself, because they are terrific. She did a really nice job with that. Jenny, you mentioned that somebody on the live side was also capturing notes.
Yeah, shout out to Vinny Logan, who was also volunteering to take notes of some of the live sessions and gathered a group of volunteers to contribute. I think you're going to see those links put in the chat in just a second here. But yeah, so that was amazing that Vinny did that. And Deb, your name was circling around. People were like, someone's doing it for virtual too. So we heard your name there. So, I mean, for both of you to do that, what a tremendous gift you gave to the CMX attendees. Thank you.
Yeah, that is a true spirit of reciprocity and giving, for community builders. Much love to you guys for putting all those things together. So, Ilker, you were the guy, kind of behind the scenes, greeting speakers as they were coming on. You were giving the introductions. Were there any kind of standout moments or behind the scene moments that you thought were particularly fun that you wanted to share with us?
Well, first of all, by the way, thank you for your lovely words. Honestly, as I was talking to you before the stream started, I really felt Jenny's support to you and to me all the time. All the things that we were actually talking about. So Jenny, thank you for that. Even just being on the ground, being so busy, meeting people in person, definitely never forgot about us, and then supported our sessions all the time with all the tweets and everything. So the thing, and of course, I had all these moments, when Jenny was talking about the karaoke opportunity with Pablo, and people messaging me saying that are you at the summit? Would you like to meet for a coffee? And or we're gonna get a bite somewhere like this, and I'm just being no, that sort of thing. But certainly, hopefully, as always, next year. That's famous sort of soccer words, that is. But the thing that stood out for me, of course, I was able to meet people at the green room, which is the setup where people were coming in before they actually went onto the stream themselves, and this was an opportunity just to test a few things, and of course, to discuss if they had like any special requirements for their section. It was just great to, of course, meet people. I always, just stop by and ask just a couple of questions as to how much time they devote for Q&As and everything. That's just an experience that I got from my previous events. And Taylor Harrington, who's the head of community at Groove, she's put out this lovely, the nicest of tweets out there mentioning me, and that actually ended up on CMX's official review, which was posted minutes ago, just before
That's right.
this stream started. So I just wanted to thank her, and she was one of the people that I really was looking forward to meet, if you like. So, and definitely, the expectation, definitely there was zero disappointment. She's like one of the absolute thunder and lightning and sort of whirlwind of community power and energy, of course, at the level of Jenny and Pablo, who actually are concepts of their own on that context. Anyway, lots of different really cool sessions. I don't know if you want me to go through a couple of my favorites now or later, if it's one of the other questions that you wanted to ask.
Yeah, no, please go ahead. It would be great to hear what you thought was standout.
Oh, definitely. So, because I was the MC, I had to, I had the duty of, staying online and, missing all the wonderful sessions that, Jenny was able to see, and of course, all the other people. But of course, that meant that, I was able to, go through and of course, listen to all of the speakers pretty much until the very late ones. So, a couple of highlights from day one, which was the 14th of September. The one that stood out for me for sure was our very good friend Yuri Lazaruk. So maybe you know him, you may have already met him. He's actually based in the Ukraine. That's enough said. So he's basically just reporting or holding up the community flag in one of the most unwelcome, hostile places in the world in terms of world affairs. Very unfortunately. But he was able to turn things around and talk about community and how community actually supported these people in these, in these worst of circumstances that, we're just, seeing these days. And he was talking to George Gabriel from Meta, from Facebook, whichever way you want to refer to that company right now. And they had this wonderful session where we were able to hear the harrowing accounts and of course the wonders that community did for these people on the ground. That was one. I have to do an absolutely shameless plug for Mr. Todd Nilson, His Highness and Excellency and Serenity, for first day. Definitely, that was a session not to be missed, where we where you talked about the talent community approach and strategy that you and we actually just brought together. But definitely, your experience and your understanding and your vision of talent and its new place in light of community actually shown through in all the things that we worked together in. So thank you for that. That was an amazing presentation, and I stayed until 2 a.m. my time so that I could be the MC for your own session.
I was really honored by that. Thank you for that. I was really honored by that, and you're too kind. We really just got to scratch the surface about what talent communities are, and I think you and I are going to have a separate session just to delve into that at some point in the near future too.
If Jenny was speaking, I would have stayed up as well. I don't care what time, but certainly the second day is Taylor's session. That was just absolutely great, wonderful. There was another one which was by Sumeru Chatterjee, or Sumo. Is the co-founder of Komodo.io. He actually talked about the rise of community-led growth, which was one of the things that were always talked about in the event. How Shopify, Notion, and Gong unlocked community-led growth, and that was the title of the session. He actually shared 7 case studies, 3 use cases, and a framework called Music that actually came about, so that you can actually identify and grow community-led businesses, which I thought this was just absolutely great. Great takeaways, great things. And of course, there were a few more. Jared Robin, co-founder at Rev Genius, he started with It's a Vibe. If they managed to keep that section, the intro, which was with the music, I would love to, because it could be maybe cut cut down because of of copyright issues or whatever. But he actually talked about his story when he lost his job due to COVID and a few other things, and then community actually put right everything for him. And finally, just before I went, there was a lovely session by Morgan Wood, who's the head of community at Hivebright, and Melissa Kilby, who's the executive director of Girl Up. Definitely a great session on how to increase the involvement of women. Certainly, it was called "Don't Settle for a Seat at the Table, Build Your Own Table," which you should. Whichever background you're coming from, definitely you should build your own table if there isn't one available for you. Those were my highlights. So hopefully, we'll be able to get from Jenny what were the live highlights, because I haven't been able to see a minute of it.
I've been writing those down so I can make notes of what to prioritize when the recordings come out. Thanks, Ilker.
Yeah. So, Jenny, you want to talk about any of the ones that really kind of stood out for you?
I did throw out some of the panels. There were just so many. It's hard, and so many more than just that. I thought that Katie Ray did an amazing job in person on Wednesday morning, kicking things off with her presentation. Yeah, I mean, we just got to wait till these recordings come out, and I don't know. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And also, well, of course, taking it back to my highlight of karaoke, there are some very talented people in CMX, y'all. I was blown away. So shout out to Patrick Woods, CEO of Orbit. Oh my God, the man can carry a tune. Rob Fox of Standing on Giants closed us out for the night at the karaoke bar with, I was like, oh, Rob, is that you? Woo. Yeah, that was, those were some of the things. Of course, I'm going to remember the sessions, but also I'm going to remember like those, fun individual moments like that. And I'm also going to remember the fact that I got to finally have an official shirt for my consulting practice. Yeah, do epic community shit. I know it's hard to see, which I had these made for my clients, partners, and special friends that I saw in person. I wish I'd seen you, Todd and Ilker, but it's kind of my new motto for my practice: do epic community shit.
Epic community shit. I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's so great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the recaps of these two. CMX is promising that they're working on these. It can't be soon enough, for us to start catching some of the sessions that we weren't able to hit. And there were some, many that I just couldn't get to that I really wanted to, but I was there in spirit with everybody and really wanted to make sure that I give props to everybody that gave their time and effort to speak at the event. As far as sort of the structure of the event, if we can go meta for a minute, I'm sure that CMX has kind of been doing sort of an analysis of what's there. Like, what is the place of live community events like going forward? How is, what worked, what maybe could have been better with the hybrid side of things? What are your guys' thoughts about that? And I don't know, Jenny, if you want to kind of kick us off with that.
You want the tea, don't you, Ted?
Give us the straight dope. Yeah.
So, all right. From my perspective, something I would love to see in future years for CMX, and I'm going to include this in my feedback survey. So, obviously with so much happening in person, I knew that there were fascinating topics also happening virtually. I did not bring headphones with me. I didn't even think to bring headphones in my bag that day because of all of the things I'd be seeing in person and the people I'd be talking to. However, there were just some topics that I would have loved to sit in and seen presented live. So in future years, request CMX, if there can be some kind of dedicated room somewhere, I don't know, like a quiet room where people can either be on their headphones or where you're presenting that what's happening on the virtual stage, I think that would be a nice way to really bring the hybrid full circle together. Because after the beginning part with Priya Parker, there really wasn't that much where I felt connected. I'm not going to speak for her, where I felt connected to what was happening virtually. And I missed y'all. Like I knew my people were there, and I knew y'all were having these great presentations, and I just wanted to be a little bit more connected to that in some way. So I know we're going to get recordings, but it would have been a nice option to have to maybe go into this separate room if you want to watch what's happening on the virtual stage. So that's one suggestion. And my second suggestion is, that Wednesday morning when things kicked off, there might have been a missed opportunity just for some rah-rah, some camaraderie. We jumped right into the agenda, and it was a packed agenda, so I understand why. But, we were all together again for 3 years, and here's the emotional me, like, we need to acknowledge this. And so I would have liked to see something like to bring together that camaraderie to kick things off a little bit more, rather than just hopping right into the agenda. So just a note for future years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I know there was some just new faces, new staff, in the CMX side of things. Like it was a Herculean task to get all of that
Yeah,
stuff up off the
yeah.
ground to do that. So definitely not a knock on them, but like, obviously we're always improving, always be improving, and that's great. Just a note for future vendors who go to these events. Headsets or Bluetooth earphones would be a fantastic swag giveaway for the event.
Great
I forgot to
idea.
pack mine. How about that? I don't think hybrid events are going away anytime soon, so hopefully that's something that'll be included. So cool. Thank you for that. And I want to turn to Ilker, but I just wanted to mention too. Please in the comments, please, if you had a favorite presentation or a key takeaway moment, like even a quote that's stuck in your head, please share it in the comments. We'd love to kind of share that in the recap as well. Ilker, what stood up for you, man?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, so certainly, I think we were chatting with Jenny, and I think Jenny was the first person to bring up that sort of, let's say, distance between what's happening virtually and, of course, what's happening on the ground. But then again, the summit has been around since 2014, and it was always held in person until 2019. And we all know what happened in 2020. So, basically, this was the first fully hybrid one, and hybrid is a very interesting thing. It was something that we're all talking about, but there's very few fully hybrid events out there. Sometimes due to cost issues, due to sometimes due so that they want to sell in-person tickets, so just bring that forward. So it's not exactly hybrid; it's more like a recording, which is like edited and put out later or afterwards, stuff like that. So holding a fully hybrid event is no mean feat, but certainly there could be things that could be improved for next editions or other hybrid events. I fully agree, and Jenny's been brilliant in sort of encapsulating the feeling and of course the ailment to that as well, to how you can actually sort it out. And Todd, as you were just saying, I'm just trying to put two and two together. Why not give everyone a new set of headphones? They would come in, they would be branded by a sponsor, and then there would be a massive room a la silent disco, basically where everybody can actually see a big screen, but they can actually hear it through their own sort of headphones, or put up some sort of booths like those sort of little one-person conference rooms, like those phone boxes that don't exist anymore. I think they dismantled the last phone box in New York City a few months ago, so there aren't any more on the streets apparently. So why not just bring them back? Even the London sort of theme boxes where people can actually just sit down in a reasonable privacy. They can actually see in a maybe smallest screen what's happening virtually, and of course also maybe just see some of the promotional messages from sponsors as well in the meantime, which are sponsoring the booth. So these are the things that flew through my mind as Jenny was making her comments, and of course I heard it from other people as well. But then again, these are the things that could be brought over, they could be improved. Other than that, of course, Bevy is a great environment. Again, it could be a little bit more connected to the real, to what's happening in person. But then again, these are the things that can be done next year, and certainly there are lots of great things that have happened, and then great things are planned for next year as well, probably.
Yeah, I was kind of missing that as well. Like when I gave my presentation on the virtual side, it's weird because you go into they used StreamYard on the back end, the platform that I'm streaming from here, and that was fine. But basically, when you're doing that presentation, the only people you can see in the room is basically your face reflected back at you and the shared screen, for your presentation. So audience feedback wasn't a thing. Like even in like when we're streaming here, through StreamYard and piping it out through LinkedIn, we can see comments that appear in the sidebar from LinkedIn or from YouTube or the other channels. But Bevy wasn't hooked up to that, so I couldn't even see the stream of comments that were coming through. And it would have been really nice, I think, again, future reference, if we had a quiet room, as Jenny was suggesting, for that to even see like an audience out there and to be able to kind of see that they're reacting or responding in some way to that. Like that's something that you get as when you're a live speaker, is that visceral connection with an audience. And I recognize that's more difficult in an online setting, and there's obviously issues with latency and some things like that. All of that's overcomable. I know the technologies exist to do that. So it would, if I had my wish, just how can we bring the virtual and the live a little closer together again? I think that would be a more powerful, visceral experience for everybody. So
yeah, I want to add also what Deb's also saying in the chat, and she actually let us know about that on Baby Chat as well on the day of the event, where so in 2020 it's full COVID, no one what's happening, no one knows what's going to happen. Everybody's like so keen on getting together even virtually in the first one. So the networking side of Bevy is very strong. There's a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of things that you can actually do, and this was completely full. And there was a lot of energy, a lot of people trying to network and trying to get to know each other and everything. The same in 2021. So this year the rooms were not many people were actually thinking of coming in, because of course there's a big in-person section, and the virtual one is more like people are trying to fit in with their own schedule and everything. If there were a few things, for example, maybe interacting with people on the ground, maybe networking with people who are there and people who are virtually attending, things that people have to perhaps attend or be there ready so that they don't miss. It could have been an interesting thing to entice people into using the virtual networking arrangements a bit more, or maybe being able to create a profile with your business details, so that people can actually contact you afterwards. So when the event ends, for example, on Bevy, you just don't have a lot of opportunity if you haven't caught up the LinkedIn or some other platform that the person has actually shared. Web Summit did this very, very well since 2020, when they first had to go like online. So this could be a functionality that could be built in for future events.
That's a great thought. Really great. So, well, guys, any other thoughts or takeaways about CMX 2023, or sort of the world ahead, or do we? I guess we've got some other virtual events coming up, but there aren't any other live events coming up the rest of the year. Is that right?
It's from my understanding, yeah. I'll tell you my biggest takeaway from this, and that I've already been passing on to my clients in our conversations this week, is to start planning for something in person. You can't explain or define that connection that happens in person. So, I know a lot of my clients have been, of course, waiting till it's safer to hold things. And so even if you have to plan from a year from now, hoping that it is safer, start planning for something to bring together a gathering of your community. And as Priya Parker says, a gathering is 3 or more people. So just, start small, because there's just nothing quite like that in-person connection. And that was my biggest takeaway. And I'm telling all my clients, start planning for in-person. Some were already doing it, but now I'm like, okay, let's get on this. Let's really start planning for in-person. Last week meant a lot to me on many different levels, personal and professional. And I'm not going to forget it. And I'm already anticipating next year's events and seeing more people in person.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Ilker, your thoughts? Any closing?
Oh, sure. I used to manage or lead Google's developer communities in one of my previous jobs. And certainly one of the highlights of the year was the I/O conference, which is the biggest developer conference that they have in May. And when it was being held live, we had these sort of chapters organizing viewing parties, which were, sort of parties where they were sort of broadcasted live, and the event was broadcasted live, and there was some pizzas or whatever it was. So now that, because we're coming back to in person, and there's a big hybrid element to it, there's every opportunity for future editions, be it CMX or otherwise, to feature people or gatherings, as Jenny was saying, which is just a lovely and brilliant sort of concentration to a word and a concept right now, to incorporate that into the main event. So I do remember at I/O, for example, at the beginning they were showing a roll of live streams from those viewing parties. So they would just say, just like the Eurovision Song Contest, they would just say, oh, here's people from Jakarta, here's people from Zurich, here's people from I don't know, maybe from Portland or something like that. So involving those local gatherings that are there to celebrate these events is a great idea for any hybrid event going forward. Again, that's sort of a recommendation. My takeaway is, as a first stab at a hybrid event on the community world, CMX Connect Drive did brilliantly, and it actually opened up a lot of thoughts for people like us three, and of course all the other people who are actually trying to bring these hybrid events to up one level. They opened up some interesting thought avenues for us to explore for the future, which is just great and exciting.
Awesome. Well, I value the gathering that the three of us have had here, and as always, it's such a joy to spend time with both of you. I think it would be really cool to do this as a semi-regular thing, to get together, talk about sort of the state of community, the community pro world. And in the meantime, I wish you both tremendous success. I know, Jenny, your practice is just taking off. I'm so enthralled and happy to hear about the good things that are happening for you. And Ilker, same thing. My friend, our joint venture with Talent Led, I have great hopes for what we'll be able to build with that together, and other collaboration opportunities going ahead. So with that, I think I'll use this. Oh, what? There's one more thing. Yes.
Can we get a LinkedIn Live telling all of us about Talent Led, little intro, what you're going to be focusing on? But okay, it was a huge announcement made, and I can't believe it's not anyway. And I want to know more. That's my final request. Thank you, Todd. Sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. In fact, yeah. So I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, Ilker, you and I are going to have to get together and talk a little bit more about talent communities, about Talent Led, the idea for that. We'll give kind of a recap of the concept of how we think communities can revolutionize the ways that talent acquisition strategies, talent engagement strategies are put into place by enterprises large and small. I think that it's a critical and missing element from so many organizations. And it's not that recruiters and HR don't want anything to do with it. It's just that they don't know about it, or they haven't thought about how it can truly be used. And I think this is an evangelizing opportunity for those of us that are in the community space, to talk to our friends and colleagues who are recruiters, who are HR professionals, who are responsible for talent for their organizations, to really and truly transform the way that they engage with employees, prospects, and alumni, throughout the employee experience, throughout the employee journey, for their organization. So yes, absolutely. Stay tuned. More to come on that front. And in the meantime, I wish you both a great rest of the week. If those of you who are out on the live stream or catching this in the replay, have stuck with us this long, thank you. We appreciate the attention, and please tune back in on Friday when I'll be joined by Tanya Lab, where we'll be talking about the upcoming International Community Day, scheduled for October the 8th, rather. Until then, please take care of yourselves, be good to yourselves, and we will see you again here on Friday.